Good morning, my brothers and sisters. Welcome to episode number 150 in the book of Genesis. We're in Genesis chapter 37 today. And today's title is, If God is Good, Why Am I in a Pit? And then kind of further extensions of that question. Are you the God of the pits? And are you the God of innocent people in pits? And then kind of the practical question is, let's say I am in a pit. Does being in a pit give me a spiritual hall pass? All right, so Joseph is going to start being our hero today and other days. Joseph is a senior, maybe even a junior in high school, and he is having to quickly put on his big boy pants. He's going to ask the question, is my faith real? Now, he's had two dreams that I think have been from the Lord, but we don't know anything about his response and his particular faith. And I think he's asking, is my faith real? And is God real? Now, he has a father that has a great faith. His name is Jacob, also known as Israel. And he has a grandfather that is of faith. His name is Isaac. And he has a great-grandfather whose name is Abraham. So he comes from a good heritage about it. You know, it's like your father being Billy Graham. Does that mean that you're a believer? So at this point in the story, in my opinion, we don't really know anything about his faith. And I would think he would be asking these questions. If God is good, why am I in a pit? And if God is good, even more basic than that is, how can there be slavery? You know, and then this personal question is, how can I be a slave in this foreign land? He's going to end up in Egypt here at the end of today. Different language, culture. Pretty sure slaves were not highly treated in the top of the hierarchy in that culture or any culture. So are you the God? Joseph is going to be asking these questions. Are you the God of people in the pits? Are you the God of teenagers in the pits? And then even when he gets out of the pit, things actually get worse for him. So are you the God of worse than the pits? So here's the story. Then the Midianite traders, now these guys were spice traders, so that's what we thought yesterday, because they traded gum and balm and myrrh, but now they find that they're not just spice traders, they're people traders, they're slavers. So they passed by, verse 28, we're in Genesis chapter 37, and they drew Joseph up out of the pit and lifted him out of the pit and sold him to the Ishmaelites for 20 shekels of silver, which then they took Joseph to Egypt, which, you know, here's the hilarious part, is they didn't even get a good price for Joseph. The traders get the upper hand of the deal, which I think is a little funny. But this is a big deal. So he goes to a different country, a foreign country, a pagan country. So the only people of God that Joseph knew, you know, sort of the spiritual people of the day, the Christians of the day, they mistreated him. They sold him into slavery and thought about killing him. So his closest family betrays him and mistreats him. So then the question is, well, okay, so Joseph gets out of the pit today. Oh, isn't it a happy story? No, things get worse after he gets out of the pit. He gets, you know, even more evil. He gets sold into slavery. He was in sort of the arms of his family, which maybe that had some limitations. And then he gets sold into slavery. And, you know, then he isn't even sold for a good price. All right, verse 29. When Reuben, who must have been on a bathroom break or something, returned to the pit, he saw that Joseph was not in the pit. He tore his clothes, and he returned to his brothers, and he said, "The boy is gone. Where shall I go?" Well, we know what happens to Reuben, is he becomes a part of the conspiracy now. So if he had previous doubts, he joins in with them at this point. Verse 31. Then they took Joseph's robe and slaughtered a goat and dipped the robe in blood. So here, you know, prophesying maybe for the future, as an innocent goat is slaughtered to cover the iniquity of the guilty, and Jesus is going to be slaughtered to cover the iniquity of us sinners. All right, verse 32. And they sent the robe of many colors and brought it to their father and said, "This we have found. Please identify whether it's your son's robe or not." So the father, Jacob, made the robe, so he knows. And he identified it and said, "It is my son's robe. A fierce animal has devoured him. Joseph is without doubt torn to pieces." Then Jacob tore his garments and put on sackcloth on his loins and mourned for his son many days. All his sons and all his daughters rose up to comfort him, but he refused to be comforted and said, "No, I shall go down to Sheol to my son, mourning." Another, "They'll go down to my grave, mourning." Thus his father wept for him. Meanwhile, the Midianites had sold him, so Joseph now gets sold in Egypt to Potiphar, an officer of Pharaoh, the captain of the guard. Which, again, is interesting. So they trade him. They sell him at a profit. They sell the prophet Joseph at a profit. And it wasn't hard because they got a deal on him from Joseph's brothers. All right, so this conspiracy involves specifically the father of Israel, God's chosen man on the earth. In my opinion, he was the most favored man on the earth. At least he's the most favored man on the earth that we know about. Maybe there was others. And he refused to be comforted. He says, "I'm going to die in mourning." And so this pain is going to go on for years, decades. And the pain that he has is actually going to get worse because now he's got the deception of his sons adding to this. So this pain of the decision that they made is going to fester for the sinning brothers too. It must have been no picnic being one of those guys. So there's two ways out of the situation of the brothers watching their father in pain. Either one is I confess to him and say, "I'm sorry, we lied," or the second one is the father dies. And I'm certainly not going to confess. So they're kind of waiting, I think, for their father's death so they can stop watching him be in pain every day. But what they choose to do is they rise up to comfort him. In other words, they fake it. So this, just one conclusion point is unrepentant sin wakes up with you every day. So, have short accounts. All right, here's the conclusion is many of you find yourself in a pit today. Some of it's of your own making. Other people may have foisted something upon you. Perhaps it's done by evil people or the ungodly or known enemies. But perhaps it's by your family. It's people close to you. Maybe the family of God. Here's the thing. You will be disappointed by people, but does that mean you're not appointed by God? So Joseph is disappointed by people, and he is going to be appointed by God. He's seen by God. He's known by God. He's heard by God. He's treasured. And he's working amidst Joseph, amidst all this stuff that's being foisted upon him. So here's one of my big points is being abused does not give you a hall pass spiritually. So let's ask the Father, are you the God of the pits? The answer is yes. Are you the God of teenagers in the pits? Yes. Are you the God of innocence in pits? Yes. Are you the God of people who have been disappointed by people? Yes. So yes, you can be disappointed by people, yet appointed by God for his good plan. Stick around. We'll find out what that is tomorrow.